I have some bad news for you. Oh no, Christmas is not going to happen. His nose is shiny. When I was a kid, I still remember the first time I saw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I was glued to the TV screen the whole time the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story was on. Because Rudolph was different, his friends avoided him. That scene made me feel sad, like I had also been left behind. I thought, why does he have to suffer like that? After that, that terrible feeling would come back every Christmas for many years, as if it had happened just yesterday. But behind the bright surface of that childhood story is a hard production trip full of secrets that have never been told. Have you ever thought that Rudolph's sweet voice wasn't from a boy but from an old woman? Or did you know that the story had to be changed to save the project after the movie was almost finished because of a flaw that no one saw coming? Let's find out what Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has kept hidden all these years. 20. The year error in the first scene. In the first few seconds of the movie, there's a small secret that most people don't notice. A mistake that has been around for 60 years and has been bigger than any showing or remake. A Roman number that is wrong. Please don't feel bad if you haven't noticed it, no one else has either. But we're going to focus on that frame today. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer first appeared in 1164, not 1964, as you'll see at the beginning of the movie. Even though it's a tiny mistake, it's an interesting record of time. No one noticed it during any of the repeats. And it seems to have become an important part of remembering the movie. We didn't care about that when we were kids. We were too busy listening to the story of the red-nosed reindeer, the wonders, and the magic. Someone on the team once gave out a number that no one knew. Who would have paid attention to that? We saw the mistake but didn't think it was a big deal. It was now part of the movie. The movie's soul comes from these small, but important details that make it a Christmas memory that will never go away. 19. The Misfit Toy Island is a secret that has been kept for many years. While watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, there's a part that makes my heart tense up every time. There is a cold, lonely place where broken toys like the elephant with spots, the train that won't run, and the penguin that can't fly just sit in the snow and hope that someone will love them anyway. People may not have been able to describe how they felt when they were kids. We knew they didn't deserve to be left behind, though. Then our hearts warmed when Rudolph, Hurry, and Yukon set foot on the island and promised to come back and save these poor toys. But after that, something strange took place. That promise was never brought up again in the ending. There was no rescue scene or satisfactory ending. There was only a promise that was broken. People were let down, and what they did next changed the history of TV. A lot of letters came to Rankin bus just a few days after the first show. There were envelopes from Ohio, Texas, and New York that all asked the same thing. What about the toys that don't fit? Why did no one come back to save them? Later, someone on the team said, "We didn't think people would care so much about those toys. We knew we'd missed the most important thing when the fan letters started coming in." The director also said that we couldn't leave the toys that didn't fit behind. The movie would lose its soul if we did that. Then something happened that had never happened before in the 1960s. Rankin Base and MGM chose to film a new scene. They put the models back together, brought the dolls back to the set, and finished a whole new ending for the 1965 TV show Santa Returns in just a few days. And saves all the toys that don't fit. Someone on the team said it was only a few minutes of footage, but it finished the story. It was true. Everything came together at once when Santa put each toy on the sleigh and the Christmas lights shone on the faces that had been forgotten. We were happy and calm, like the promise had finally been kept. That, not his red nose, is what made Rudolph famous. But the faith that everything, no matter how flawed, deserves to be loved. 18. Rudolph's voice. Was it a woman's? And every time I hear Rudolph's soft but brave voice, I picture it as the voice of a boy who is both pure and brave. But Rudolph's voice wasn't boyish, it was girlish. That lovely singing was done by Billy Mae Richards, who is also known as Billy Richards. Billy Mae Richards said, "When I got this part, I had no idea I'd be singing a reindeer, and I had no idea this part would matter so much to me." Rudolph's voice should be soft but strong, like he was facing big problems. She talked about the important scenes where I tried to make Rudolph both cute and personal for the viewers. Everyone should feel how strong this reindeer is. Even though his nose was red and he was small. The voice of Billy Mae Richards brought Rudolph to life like never before. It made all of us, kids and adults alike, feel the quiet power of a small but brave character. 17. Save the puppets of Santa Claus and Rudolph, which were left in the attic and forgotten. Along with the many fond memories of the movie, there is a short story that not many people know about Santa Claus and Rudolph's rescue puppets. These dolls were left in the dark and forgotten for many years after the movie came out. In 2007, something amazing took place. It was found that this woman had these dolls in her attic. When we saw them, we couldn't believe it. A team member named Peter McGee remembered that Santa had lost his mustache and eyebrows, and Rudolph didn't have his shiny red nose. After being put away for many years and forgotten, these dolls were carefully brought back to life. There was a lot of work that went into restoring them, which cost $4,000. These puppets are now more than just things that have to do with the movie, they're also live reminders of good times spent as a child. I know that every time you and I see them, it's like going back to those loving Christmas days, as if time had never passed. Those memories will always be with us. 16. The reindeer suddenly vanished in the last scene. Remember the last scene of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? In this scene, Santa's sleigh takes off into the sky to bring gifts to all the kids. But it was odd that the sleigh had only 6 reindeer instead of the normal 8. For some reason, this lack made me sad. Something strange that I still can't explain. When I was young, this scene always made sense to me. Why Sarah Johnson has only 6 reindeer that fans have shared? When asked about this detail, one of the project leaders, Daniel Ford, said, "We couldn't use all 8 reindeer because of some technical issues, but we thought that this would give the scene a mysterious feel." Not having those 2 animals, though, still made a lot of people, including me and you, feel strange. The technical director made a joke that Bumble might have eaten 2 of Santa's reindeer, Tom Bishop. Even though it was a small thing, the end scene was even more magical without it, and we will always remember it when we watch the movie again. 15. 200 Rudolph puppets were made by the artists. I still have a clear picture in my mind of Rudolph, the reindeer with the bright red nose who leads Santa's reindeer team. Of course, every smooth move this figure made was the result of a very careful and complicated process that the animators worked very hard on. An artist on the team named Jack Robber watched wild deer for 2 days in a national park. We were interested in how they move and how to bring Rudolph's steps to life. They didn't just watch the little things, like how the deer lower their heads or jump over things, but they also wanted to show how beautiful they really are. More than 200 carefully made dolls were used to make Rudolph's world come to life. Each one had its own style that was perfect for its role. We could not use the same dummy for everyone. One of the animators said, "We wanted to include all of those traits into our animation." Each deer had its own unique traits. Because of this care, Rudolph came to life and became more than just a puppet. He became a magical figure that many people associate with their youth. The flying effect without using CGI, back then, every kid who saw Santa and the reindeer flying through the snow had to wonder how they were able to do it. These days, that magical flying appearance might be made with CGI. We didn't have as much technology back then as we do now, so the animators' imagination and skill were all they had. I still remember very clearly the magical times when Santa flew into the sky and the horses glided through space. I remember wondering how they did it before technology. A member of the production team said, "This was a very creative and patient method used by hand to make sure that every scene had natural, smooth movement. Even though you could sometimes still see the strings. And each time Rudolph moved, it wasn't just a flying effect, it was a miracle made possible by the artist's skill and care. Without high-tech tools, just honesty and a love for art. The artists did a miracle that my friends and I will never forget." 13. The long process of making it. It took 18 months to make one show. It will surprise you to learn that it took 18 months to make one episode of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. A very long time for a stop-motion animation movie. I can't believe they had to carefully watch every move the dolls made, right down to the small details of each finger. Just for one shot. Even the smallest action was a work of art. A member of the production team named Tom Williams once said that every second of the movie was made by hand. After each shot, each dummy moved around a little. Helen Carter said that we had to move the dolls at least 24 times in 1 second and shoot at 2 frames per shot. This made a very unique motion effect. They worked non-stop, with cameras and the carefully made dolls all around them. We remember the movie like a Christmas present that will never be opened. 12. The marketing deal only covered 2 shows. No one knew that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer would become a Christmas icon for decades after it first aired in 1964. At first, General Electric only paid for the movie to be shown twice as part of a deal. That long of a movie was not expected. When I saw the movie for the first time, I had no idea it would become a custom that would last for more than 50 years. The movie's producer, Richard Stone, said, "We just hoped the movie would make a good impression, but no one thought it would be so successful." Even though it was only shown twice at first, Rudolph became an important part of Christmas and is now shown every year. I, along with millions of other people, looked forward to it every holiday season. Alan Carter, who helped make the movie, said it was a big hit. "I see now that I've been a part of a great history. My family always sits down together to watch the movie, so Rudolph has become an important Christmas gift." 11. What was played for 30 years? Did you notice that the song "We're a Couple of Misfits" was replaced by "Fame and Fortune" for 30 years? I still remember how let down I was when I heard the new version. It was like a part of the movie had been taken away. A piece was missing, and a tune from my youth was no longer there. The singer of the song, Johnny Marks, said, "We never thought that this song would be replaced for such a long time. But this didn't change how much people loved the movie." Helen Parker, a director, said, "We changed the song for media reasons, but we didn't think that many fans of the movie would be upset about it." The song "We're a Couple of Misfits" wasn't played again until 1998, when the movie came out on home video. I remember those good times. With that song, I remember those times as a child all over again. I know you feel the same way. Those songs will always be with you. If you agree with the date below the video, please let me know I'm not the only one. 10. In Yukon's candy mine, a cutscene showed that Yukon, the strange but likable character, wasn't looking for gold as everyone thought. Instead, he was digging for candy. One of the screenwriters, Sam Smith, said, "At first, we thought he was looking for gold, but then a cutscene showed us something much more interesting." The technical director, Rick Lawson, went on to say that they had filmed that scene but couldn't use it because of time limits. But the thought of a candy mine interested us, and it was clear that it made Yukon even more unique. And only people who really love the movie, like you and me, could feel its loss when that scene was cut. When I found this candy mine by surprise, I felt like the last secret had been revealed. He didn't use his axe to dig for gold. It was to see how the candy tasted. Tom Miller, who fixed up the movie, laughed. That's a pretty cool fact, right? What do you think about this? Don't forget to leave a comment below this video with your ideas. We're really interested in that. 9. A look at Dolly's sadness. Dolly seems sweet and cute, but few people know that behind her smile is a deep sadness and a feeling of being alone that no one understands. She was more than just a toy that was left behind. She was the picture of things that would never be loved and have no place in the beautiful world we make. A member of the production team said that Dolly Fazzo wasn't just a doll, but a sign of sadness that people didn't want to talk about. Dolly is lonely, like a toy that no one wants. A member of the production team said that the sadness of feeling abandoned is something that only people who have been through it can understand. People loved Dolly because she was sad. This was especially true for people who have ever felt unloved, like an item left behind in a dark area of their life. Dolly was only a small puppet, but she taught us a lot about kindness, acceptance, and liking things even when they aren't perfect. Burlives in his part is Sam the Snowman. One of the most remembered parts of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is meeting Sam the Snowman. He has a warm voice and tells us stories about each magical Christmas scene. But not many people know that this character wasn't in the plot at first. At first, the movie didn't have a narrator, but when Burlives showed up out of the blue, he played the part of Sam the Snowman. Burlives, who played Sam, remembered, "When I was called in, the script was almost finished, but the story still didn't have a point. A voice that could make the movie feel better." Ives was invited at the last minute and brought a warm and charming voice to Sam. He became a key figure of Christmas. "I never thought a small part like Sam could make such a big difference," Burlives said. "But I gave this job my all because I knew it would become a part of the audience's heart that they could not live without." Today, whenever we hear "A Holly Jolly Christmas," you and I both feel like we're wrapped in a warm blanket. Burlives' voice has made Christmas magic last forever. 7th, Rudolph is sold all over the world. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is thought to be an American invention, but not many people know that the movie was made by people from all over the world working together in a very special way. The script was written in New York, the voice acting was recorded in Toronto, the music was written and recorded in London, and the stop-motion animation was done in Japan. It's a great mix of styles and places. When we were kids, you would never have thought that artists from all over the world worked on our favorite movie. According to Arthur Rankin, one of the founders of Rankin Base, the Japanese art director said, "Even though we didn't know much about Christmas, we did a lot of research to make each shot as lively and beautiful as possible." A movie that millions of people all over the world loved was made by working together. A movie that crossed ethnic lines and brought people together during the Christmas season. Sixth, the name Hermes was spelt wrong for a long time. Do you remember the picture of the elf Herm who wanted to be a doctor instead of a toy maker? People really liked him in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because of his sweet eyes and one-of-a-kind attitude. But not many people know that Hermes' name was spelt wrong for a long time, which made us wonder if it really was Herbie as many people thought. He really went by the name Hermie. The movie's author, Romeo Muller, says that the mistake of misspelling Hermes' name came from things like coloring books and toys. "We didn't think his name was important at first." Mueller said that when the toys came out, people started calling him Herbie instead of Hermie. A member of the production team named Linda Stewart said, "I didn't understand why people kept calling him Herbie. It made me want to correct it right away every time I heard it, but no one noticed the small change. Even so, Hermie will always have a special place in my heart and yours. He was more than just a cute figure, he stood for people who feel different." The name could have been wrong, but the good things Hermie did stayed the same. 5. Rudolph changes channels after 50 years. This is a big step forward for NBC. This movie, which first aired on CBS in 1964, became an icon of the Christmas season. Few people know, though, that Rudolph made a big change when it moved from CBS to NBC in 2024, after 50 years of going on without a break. It wasn't easy to make this change, but a bold move that changed the look of the movie. According to Tom Sargent, one of the film's directors, moving to NBC not only gave the movie a new chance, but it also started a new era with better picture quality. Now, people can watch Rudolph with more vivid and bright colors than ever before. The head of NBC, Mark Thompson, said, "We are very proud to air a film as iconic as Rudolph. This is a one-time chance for the old and the new to get together." The great thing is that the movie kept its main theme, which was a warm Christmas mood, even though it changed stations. 4. A lot of the actors were Canadian. We all likely think that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is an important part of American society because it tells the story of Santa Claus, the reindeer, and Christmas. But not many people know that most of the voice actors were from Canada. Not Hollywood, but Toronto was where the warm, familiar sounds we hear were recorded. The voice actor for Rudolph, Billy May Richards, said, "We just knew we were doing something special." Another person who remembered was Paul Sauls, who voiced Hermie. He said, "We felt like we were part of something great, even though we were just in Toronto and didn't know how the film would affect future generations." Jane Sanders, who worked on the show's production, said, "We looked for the best voices for the characters, and Canada has a lot of them. While these sounds were not from Hollywood stars, they made me feel close and warm. Something that you and I can feel in every line every time we hear it." Third, the very high costs of making it. We always look forward to seeing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer every year because it's a sweet story about a reindeer who leads Santa's team. But not many people know that the people who made this movie had to spend up to $500,000, which was a lot of money compared to other animation movies. One of the people who started Rankin Base, Arthur Rankin, remembered that $500,000 was a lot of money back then. We knew, though, that we could only make a great movie with a lot of money, especially for this job. Artists and craftsmen worked very hard to make the dolls. Japan's art director, Jiro Maeda, said, "We had to make more than 200 puppets for the movie. Hand-carved and painted each doll with great care. Which was very hard and took a long time. These puppets weren't just things moving on the screen, they were works of art." This movie became one of the most expensive and important animation movies ever made. The nose of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer really does glow. Every time we see Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer, we always look at its strange red nose and wonder how it shines so brightly. These days, it would be easy to think it's a CGI effect. But things were very different in real life. The animators used a creative handmade way to make this glowing effect. A 12-volt light bulb was put in the nose of Rudolph the Reindeer Man. The movie's director, Peter McGee, said, "Since there was no CGI, we used a small light bulb to make the glow. It looked easy, but a lot of work went into making sure the red nose lit up perfectly in every shot. The head of special effects, Janet Parker, said that every time we shot, we had to change how bright the light bulb was so it wasn't too bright or too dim. It had to be perfect all the time. I realized that the glowing nose wasn't just a part of the story, it was also a magical sign that made the movie even more special. We get happy every time we see Rudolph's nose. As if being warm is an important part of Christmas. 1. Yak hair is used to make Santa's beard. The interesting fact. Not many know. It's true that Santa's beard wasn't made of cotton or wool like most people think, it was made of yak hair. Something interesting that neither you nor I expected. One of the repair artists, Rick Lawson, said that yak hair would be great for making Santa's beard. It wasn't just soft, it was also very strong. Every time we shot, we had to comb the beard to keep it soft and smooth. This might sound interesting, but when you think about it, Santa's beard makes him look naturally warm, which is great for the holiday season. John Miller, a member of the film crew, remembered, every time we made the beard, it wasn't just for looks. The beard really brought Santa to life. You'll be even more loved. And every time I see the picture of Santa Claus with his white beard that looks like snow, I can't help but feel the Christmas magic that was carefully captured in every detail. That beard didn't just look good, it seemed like it was part of the holiday spirit. We've now talked about the little-known facts about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All of the untold stories and controversial details have come together to make a legendary work of art, not just about Christmas but also about youth. Did these lies catch you off guard? Is there something you've always been interested in this movie? You can leave your ideas or questions in the box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next cool movie.